Hey guys, Brad Pryor here with Grit Brandon. I'm hanging out with Gary Pierce today with True Funding, correct? Pure. Butchered that. Oh yeah, it's on shirt too.
All the pressure, you got a celebrity like me in the house. I get it. It's okay.
Yes, it made me so nervous I can't even talk.
You can do what they do at the radio and grab the whiskey bottle and
that normally works a lot better.
What's his name? Billy.
Yeah,
down in the dungeon.
Yeah. Well, tell us what you do.
So Pure Funding, we're a mortgage broker in Weatherford. We've been in business for 3 years now. So we've got 3 different categories we focus on. Conventional financing, we're, kind of your primary residence, conventional FHA, VA, that sort of thing. And then we work with a lot of investors. So real estate investors that have, whether they're doing fix and flip, they're doing long-term rentals, or even like Airbnb short-term rentals. And then the third component is kind of the farm and ranch piece of it, which is pretty exciting for us. We really, one of the big reasons we started the company was because of that, having that ability to either do loans that look like, a 25-acre place with some facilities and a house where a lot of, conventional retail lenders, I'll call it, kind of stay away from that. They don't understand that world. And so we're able to do that. And then we can also do the, your commercial agriculture products. So if you're buying, anything from a vineyard to a cow-calf operation, things like that, we can do as well.
Gotcha. I know dealing with lenders and stuff, is the appraisal part of it, you all have people that are vetted for that? The rural areas, because you get somebody out of North Dallas looking at a ranch.
Yeah.
They don't know what they're looking at.
Yeah, it's not hit and miss. It used to be a lot worse. It used to be a big problem. You get somebody out here in this country and they really don't understand the product. And so, we've got, they're called AMCs, so appraisal management companies. So when we submit the loan, it goes into this like pool of appraisers, and then the appraiser pulls it and they say, yeah, I can do it for, $850,000, whatever the appraisal cost is. And then they'll show up and do it. But we really, knock on wood, haven't had too many issues with not understanding the product, really.
Right. So, you have a partner?
I do. So Willis Richardson, we started the company 3 years ago, and he was with me at previous company. And so he was, Willis is a loan writing machine. So, as you know, Willis.
Very comical. Yeah.
Yes. He was our number one sales guy at the last company and did some sales management over there. And then when we decided, when the market shifted out of the refinance boom, kind of out of COVID, we had to make a decision kind of personally. Do you stay in that kind of retail space, or do you get into your own deal where you can offer a lot of different products? And as a broker, that gives us a lot of flexibility to do that. But yeah, Willis is great. He's a loan writing machine.
So I guess more than anything, y'all separate from the other lending institutes from like doing the farm and ranch stuff.
Yeah.
And Barndos, all that kind of stuff.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Can you tell a little bit about the Barndos side of stuff? I think people.
Yeah. So the Barndos, it's kind of lenders have transitioned to understanding the barndominium. It really comes down to comps. It doesn't matter if it's a residential property, non-Barno. As long as comps support it, we can do it. And then around here, there's not any issues. Now, if you're doing a Barndo in, let's just call it random, middle of Tennessee somewhere where there's not a lot of Barndos, it'd be the same problem if you couldn't get comps on a log cabin or something like that. Sure. So it's considered a unique property, but as long as comps support it, we can do them. And that issue has kind of been solved here in the last couple of years.
Gotcha. I know when we first started building them, it was a pain with that kind of stuff, figuring that part out. But is the radius, 50 miles, 150 miles for that, for Barndos?
No, so they're going to start out super tight on appraisals, right? So you don't get any extra love because it's a Barndo. It's got to be close. So the closer the better. Typically we can get, within couple miles, we're able to, especially in North Texas, there's a lot of Barndos. A lot of Barndos, as you know, have been built in the last 5 to 10 years. And so getting comps really isn't the problem. The biggest problem, like if getting into the thing with Barndos is it started out as a guy built a shop and then he put a little apartment in there, right? That was kind of the original idea. Now they're like this place, right? Like, it's a house.
Right.
So what the biggest thing we look at is we'll take a look at the property, and the biggest no-no on a barndo is adjoining walls with livestock. So if this wall behind it has a horse stall, same roof, joint wall, it's probably not going to go as far as conventional financing. We've got a couple other options with our ag investors that we could probably get it done, but they just don't like the livestock sharing that space.
You put a breezeway between them?
Yeah, typically. Yeah,
that's what I think we've done that before a couple of times. We ran into that.
Yeah.
So, and I don't like putting the horse stall stuff with the barndo anyway, just because it eventually will get odor and smell in there.
There's
a way around
it.
And dirty and dusty.
Flies
inside. Yeah, all that good stuff.
Yeah.
So, where you grow up at?
So, grew up in Michigan, and then went to South Carolina, played baseball down there, and then ended up about 11 years ago now, moved over to Weatherford. And so I've been here since 2014 and we love it here. I've been married 5 years this month, actually. So,
there you go.
Yeah. So we've been married, 5 years, living in our place now since 2018. And Parker County is just a great place to live, great place to have a business, and
always something going on.
Yeah, it's really crazy, like, to think between like everything that's going on, just normal city stuff, but then you throw in the performance horse world aspect to it that I know you guys are heavily involved with. My wife as well, and I try to rope on occasion, but we won't talk too much about my roping. but yeah, there's a ton going on. Yeah, absolutely.
You have kiddos?
No kids. We got we call it the funny farm. So we've got about 14 or 15 horses and 5 dogs, chickens. My wife has acquired a peacock.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And then she has a pig as well. So,
hey, those are all a lot cheaper than having kids, I promise.
I don't know.
Very expensive.
I don't know. The farrier just left this morning, so I don't know. It's they're not cheap.
So have you always been in the Western industry when you were in Michigan, or how did you?
No,
came here?
Yeah. So the Western industry just kind of follows. So my grandfather grew up here in Weatherford, and so I had a small connection to the area. But no, in college where I went to school in South Carolina is heavy thoroughbred country. So hunter jumpers, a lot of racehorse ranches there in Aiken, South Carolina. And so that was my summer job. I just was a hand and, clean stalls and did what I always enjoyed being around it. And then moving here, obviously you can't help but to be involved with it. And so, my wife, she runs and trains barrel horses, and then for herself, and then her business is marketing, and so she's involved with a lot of the performance horse folks and the rodeo side, and then she's got a couple supplement companies that she works with, and so we're pretty. It's probably why we see each other at a lot of the same events. Yeah. We're running in the same circles. Yeah.
No, that's cool.
Yeah.
Do y'all enjoy the performance horse industry?
Yeah, I think it's been an interesting kind of transition since probably, I would say, kind of COVID, when you've seen, you saw the American rope horse kind of deal is starting to take off. And a lot of, those rodeo guys have now transitioned into that futurity side, with the guys, the kind of the staples that have been there for years. But, that's a great, we're going to that event, we're going down this weekend to watch, Cade and them show down there. So that'll be a fun weekend. But, and then you got the cow horse, the reiner, there's just a lot more stuff, it's always kind of been here, but not at the scale that it's been here in the last probably 3 to 5 years. It's definitely grown. So
yeah, and you got the American coming up performance. It's gonna be at Dickies in July, I guess.
Yep.
That to me has come a long ways.
Yeah.
Run for the Million. To me, that's one of the most exhilarating shows I've seen.
Yeah.
And it's wicked. Every year it's better and better.
Yeah.
Have you ever been to that?
I haven't. Kelly has. Clients been up there for that, but I haven't been up there for the Run for a Million. But I mean, that's just another example of where non-traditional, I'll call it, performance horse folks are stepping in, and from a media perspective, in my opinion, they're taking that to the next level. And so it's not only bringing more people to the sport, but it's also bringing a lot more money. And that's really ever been there. So yeah, pretty impressive.
Yeah, it is. And the horsepower is just getting more and more talented. I mean, you can't find anything without Metallic Cat in it, but
right.
But there's some good stuff out there.
Yeah. I think that's the interesting thing. Like, you talk about the horsepower, how it's transitioned, like watching the rope horse guys kind of, by no means am I a rope horse expert, but 5, 8, 10 years ago, it was all the cutting bred stuff, but now you're seeing a lot of that Rainer blood coming in, and it just kind of shows the transition of the industry, over the last, and they've always been there, but I think the scale in which it's coming. I mean, when Trevor sold that horse last week for $1.4 or something like that, like, that wasn't happening 10 years ago.
No. No.
Yeah.
Well, I think it's having we talked about this a different way, but pre-Yellowstone, Yellowstone kind of hit at the right time.
Yeah.
And then the COVID happened.
Yep.
I was talking to Jay with the NCHA on a podcast, and he kind of brought up something that I never thought about. He said, when the world's falling apart, everybody runs to the Western industry. If you look at the Urban Cowboy,
yeah.
You look at Yellowstone,
yeah.
Them eras of those times when they came out were when the world was falling apart.
Yeah.
And then people start gravitating towards it. It's like a cycle. And I never thought about that.
That's definitely interesting. I never tied that together, but it makes sense.
Yeah, I learned a lot from talking to him. But he's very smart.
Yeah.
He knows his stuff. But I never thought of it that way. And I think that's what happened to us when COVID was over with.
It's funny you mentioned that. Like, so I'm on the board of the Parker County Chamber. And so the amount of activity that's coming around, you mentioned Yellowstone, not just Yellowstone, but the state of Texas drawing in the Hollywood crowd and the business that is coming because of that now. So recently during this last legislature, there was $1 billion bill passed over I think it's going to be somewhere in the neighborhood of, it's either 5 or 10 years, but a chunk of money coming in to support those folks coming here to shoot these movies, these shows, and things like that. And I know UT Arlington is setting up a complete track now for the movie production industry. I'll say TV, not movie, but it's a huge pump to this economy locally, North Texas especially, and then across the state. It's a big deal. I mean, you got McConaughey, Woody Harrelson, Dennis Quaid, obviously Taylor Sheridan here locally. I mean, pumping the industry, and it's doing some good things.
Well, I didn't realize this, but I think the story's true. But from what I understood, the delay on Yellowstone was on a lot of films was because they had a Hollywood that was on strike.
Oh yeah.
And they're having to go over different parts of the country to get people out of work. So
okay.
I think that's what's pushed a lot of people to the Texas market. Is I didn't realize Hollywood's that way.
Yeah,
they could go on their, what do you call that? I don't know. They're like an organization.
The union?
Union, yeah. No, I couldn't think of that word. But no, I didn't know all that. And I've heard that story a couple of times, and I'm like, well, that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, it's interesting. It's definitely, I mean, we're seeing it. We've done some loans for folks that have migrated this way. I mean, is it the Blue Jack Ranch over there?
Mm-hmm.
That's a Fort Worth guy, but he's a Hollywood, that's how he's made his money, and So you're seeing a lot of that investment coming from California out here, which is obviously great for our, there's going to be the crowd that doesn't really love it, but I mean, growth is growth. It's
no way around
it's coming, right? Yeah. And so, it's a really interesting where we're at locally and the opportunities that are coming with it. So,
what do you think in the next 5 years, or say this year, and then we'll talk about 5 years? What do you think financing looks like?
Let me get my crystal ball out.
Yeah.
That's probably if there's one question, that's probably the number one question I get, what are rates going to do? So, I really don't have the best answer. I'll try to explain the best I can because it is a really technical, kind of explanation that's going on. So I'll kind of keep it high level. There's a lot of macro stuff happening in the market, and it all goes back to inflation. And so when inflation is under control, our rates go down. So as inflation goes up, that's, we went up to, we had a couple months of 9 or 10% inflation, right? And so mortgage rates went up accordingly. And as it's come down, we've come down because at one point 3 years ago when we started the business, we were pushing, there was some lenders were 8.5% for conventional financing. Today we're probably 6.75% is probably a fair number somewhere in there. But I do feel like the math is definitely showing us that rates should come down. They're not going to go to 3, but we might be at 6.5, 6.25 by the end of the year. It's going to be a slow bleed down. But when we do get the good technicals on inflation, and we have, Trump and Powell fighting back and forth, or we have a war with Iraq, kind of situation, and then that scares the market, and then the market shoots up for a couple of days, and then it'll come back down. So I think over time, rates will come down. They always go through cycles. I always tell everybody too, it takes a lot longer for rates to come down than it does for them to go up. Mm-hmm. There is not a lot of hurdles for rates to go up, but there's a lot for them to come down. So it's a slow bleed, but there's other opportunities that come in. You're going to buy a place now probably a little bit more affordable than you were 3 or 4 years ago. Like a lot of the residential deals we're seeing coming with seller credits, and we'll see a deal get done where there's all they're bringing to the closing table is their down payment because they've negotiated with the seller to get their financing costs covered. So there's a lot of little tricks and nuance that's going on in the market where the media will paint a doom and gloom kind of situation, and comparatively speaking to 3 years ago, but there was also a lot of stress on that market too. So yeah, not the best answer, but an answer.
An answer, yeah.
So,
I mean, do you think you'll ever see the 3s again?
3s will be really hard. I think without any market manipulation, i.e. the Fed buying a bunch of the bonds to inflate the bond market to make it more valuable, I think 5.5 is attainable. We've been in that area in years past, without having any of the government subsidizing that kind of, value for those bonds. So I think we can get down to that 5.5. And a perfect example was when the first China-Trump kind of collision happened. There was a Monday. It happened on a Monday, and I was looking over the weekend. I was looking at rates, and because we were pricing stuff out, and I was like, man, we're getting really at an interesting time right now because that week prior to all the technicals, inflation, unemployment numbers, GDP was all pretty soft. So I was like, man, we're going to be close. So we were almost at like 5.99 for quarter point in fees to get there. So, but then on Monday, the China-Trump tariff explosion happened. And I mean, we skyrocketed that week. Like every week, the 10-year treasury just kept shooting up. And so now we're back it got back over just over 7, I think is what it was. And then now, like I said, today we're probably closer to 6.75 or so. But again, it takes about 5 days to shoot it up a full point, but it takes weeks for it to come down that full point.
How do notes work? Like I have a place in Graham that I think my interest rate from 2018 is like 2.9, something like that. How does that work when the market's doing, if the interest rates, obviously they can't go up when you're locked in a loan, but how does that work for a lender?
So from a, kind of strategy standpoint, I mean, all the lenders would like to see these 2.9s get off the books, right? Because they're not making any money, right? And so that's kind of one of the challenges that a lot of the lenders have today is, your book of business is heavily weighted towards low interest rates long term. In the short term, there's not as many deals happening. So even though it's at a higher interest rate, so that's a challenge. But I think, there's always going to be like me. I'm at like 2.6, right? And I'm dying in my place. Mm-hmm. So there's going to be that segment of the population. Unfortunately or fortunately, part of life is people die off. Those loans are going to start coming off the books. Younger folks are going to start getting into the market. Like the market will correct itself from a health standpoint, I think. And so you'll see that over time. We're still pretty fresh to that high rate environment, and folks still can remember the 2.6, 2.75 conversations. And so it's just going to take some time for it to kind of cycle through. Families grow. They grow out of homes that they bought 3-5 years ago. They're going to have to do something. But the cool thing about that is if they bought at the right time, they're going to take equity into the next place. And even if they're at a 6.5%, they're putting more money down. So their cost is higher, but the actual outlay is going to be relatively similar because they're upgrading, right? And so they're going to bring equity from another property. And we see that all the time where it's like, you go from one property to the next and it's $500 to $1,500 more a month, which you would expect that when you're upgrading, right?
Sure.
So yeah, it's just very cyclical. I try not to get too buried in the weeds on it in like the present time, because like I've been in consumer finance for 20 years. Like I watched the 07-08 crash like in real time. Like that was a bad.
Is that the 0% interest loan deal?
Those were, a lot of that was not so much 0% interest. It was, they would do interest only. They would overfinance. So like they would give you 125% loan to value at purchase.
Oh, wow.
Oh gosh. Yeah. We were seeing those, a lot of so the Big Short, you ever watch that movie? Mm-mm. Go watch that movie. Okay. It'll scare the heck out of you.
Really?
It is a very, very real depiction of what happened in that time. It's what's this guy's name? Michael from The Office. What's that guy? Oh gosh. Anyways, go watch the movie.
Okay.
It's a really good depiction of what happened. And it was just, fraud was rampant. If you could fog a mirror, you were getting a loan. There was no true verification of income, assets, and then you combine that with the idea of over leveraging somebody. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, you're already 25%. A 125 loan to value means you're 25% over the value of the property, and so like you're not getting out of that. Like that's a 7-year deal to get that much value just to get to break even. And so it was just unfortunately, our industry was the bad actors in that. And since then, a pile of regulation that makes my life miserable. Right. So, yeah.
That was a very interesting time.
It was.
Yeah. I just came through a divorce, and it was like 05, 06, something like that. And then, of course, you know how those are. Yeah. They're expensive. Yeah. But then 07 and 08 hits. I'm like, golly, Raptor P started in 2002, so I'm like, boy, there's some trying times to go through all that. But we did pretty good through 0708. There's a lot of farm and ranch stuff, but people that had cash spending it.
Yeah,
people, they weren't financing nothing. But
no, and we see the same thing too. Like we talk to a lot of people. I mean, there's still a lot of cash deals going on. I think you talked to me about your business, like in the last year, how much it's transitioned from finance to cash, and there's people in the market that have done real. I mean, the stock market's the last, I don't even know, 5 years. I mean, it's people aren't losing money there.
I don't know how you feel about that, because that's pretty high. I mean, it's grown so much. Is it? Yeah. Is it real? You think?
I got a buddy of mine that. So I think I do believe it is. I think it's just the scale from where we were. Like if you look back in the 80s and 90s, the scale in which we're consuming, and this is globally, stuff, right? These companies, these tech companies, are typically pretty heavy, profit margins. All this AI stuff that's hit the market. I mean, you look like an NVIDIA. I mean, they're through the roof. So as we're in this transition period of going from like kind of the 80s, 90s kind of model of business to this new technology, starting with the internet forward. I'm not an investor, and I don't really value companies in the sense that like, hey, this company's worth X, but I feel like the products that are out there and how we're consuming as globally as people, I feel like it's there. I mean, our economy is a pretty good indicator of, CNN, Fox News, the economy's trash, everything's terrible, GDP's at 2.5.
Yeah.
What gives, right?
Right.
So.
No, it's very interesting how all that works and how much it's grown. I guess look at it, and I remember what it was 10 years ago. I'm like, how is that even possible?
Yeah, 10 years ago, we were faxing stuff, right? Now we get documents on the phone. Like they send it on their phone. Like DocuSign, everything. Like there is one thing in Texas we have to get wet signed, which is a major pain in the butt. But if you do a cash out refinance, one of our investors requires a wet signature, which is
that's hard.
It's like really, like I don't even have a printer at the house anymore. It's like it's just not. Yeah, papers are not necessary.
No, most everything's digital now. Yeah. But going back to the amount of loans and stuff, all that we closed on in 23, we closed on 73 loan at the bank, and then in 2024. Closed on 4. It just shows you how much.
That's crazy. I mean, it's. If you said 50%, I'd be like, okay, but
no, it's so
95%.
It's so odd because I used to have closings all the time.
Yeah,
and now I thought about it. I'm like, well, shit. So I went back and counted what we had.
Yeah,
year to year, and 24 is pretty rough for us. But all the election stuff and all the things, I felt like people were holding. Because as soon as that was over with, people got off their hands real quick. So
yeah, it was funny because we started 22. Took us 90, 100 days to get our license. So we didn't write a loan until August. So really, we had a fourth quarter, which is the worst quarter typically. And then, you go into January 23. Well, guess what? Nobody's out shopping for houses in December. And so 23, we had like we went like 60 days without an application when we first started. I was like, holy messed up. But we came out of it and did all right. And then 24, we doubled. And then this year we're still tracking pretty good. We're ahead of where we were last year, but it is definitely, we didn't see the Trump, what I call the Trump boost. I was talking about this with somebody the other day, and we didn't see this like onslaught of people coming to the market. I think people are still super hesitant. They're still nervous about like inflation. mean, around here, the one thing that people, have to consider too is Parker County is our taxes from 22 to today have doubled almost, property values, because we were going off of 2020 tax rolls, and then they do it every 2 years. So in 22, we had COVID. Well, around here, things skyrocketed values. Mm-hmm. Well, then all of a sudden now, you're going off of instead of a $250,000 value, $300,000 value, you're at a $500,000 value. So you're going from a $3,000 tax bill to $5,500 tax bill, And so, and then insurance has hammered people,
Insurance got stupid. Nuts.
Yeah.
I don't even know why the reasons either, because it's going crazy.
Around here, it's hell.
Yeah.
These guys, these insurance carriers there's carriers that left the state. It's obviously a huge component of our deal. Put it in perspective, Peaster, which is just north of town here, new home build, call it acre, 2 acres, 3,000 square foot. Before you even make a dollar payment towards your mortgage, you're at $1,000 plus for taxes and insurance.
Oh, wow. Oof.
On a $500,000 deal. Yeah, and which is crazy too, is our average loan amount right now is $460. So, I had a guy, we were doing a pre-approval last week. He sends me the tax bill, and I was like, surely this is a mistake. Mm-hmm. Over by Lake Weatherford, $20,000 annual.
We get people like that.
I just got.
Oh yeah. Well, we get
like California stuff.
Yeah, it's the barndominium world. When we start vetting customers, getting them warmed up. You have those people that come in there and think they can build something for $50 a foot. Yeah. And their budget's $150,000. You can't touch nothing. Yeah. Hardly anything for $300.
Yeah.
So it's small or big, but it's expectations of people sometimes drive you crazy. Where did you even come up with the idea?
Yeah, it's funny. We get that a lot, especially like sticker shock on rate. You'll try to let them know, hey, this is where we're going to be, and then when they finally get the disclosure, they're like, oh my gosh, 7% or 6 3/4. I'm like, it is what it is, man. Like I don't set the rates as much as I wish I could.
Right. Yeah. Is it true that if it's under $750,000, the interest is 100% write-off?
Say that again?
If it's under $750,000,
you can write the interest off?
100%.
I don't know the tax bill on it, but you can, or the tax code on it. Definitely talk to your CPA on that. But typically, a mortgage payment you can write on your primary. I'm not sure on investments if you can write I should know that on the investment side, but on the primary home, you can write off your interest.
Yeah. Somebody brought that up the other day because we were talking about the market, and the guy told me that, well, this is the thing. If it's under $750,000, whatever interest you're paying, you get it written back off.
Yeah.
So we were talking about the interest rate.
Yeah.
And then okay, what's 1% more than what you thought you were going to pay? You can write it off.
Yeah. Because if you look at an amortization schedule, the first 3 years you're paying a ton in interest. Like that's where they get all their interest on the, they try to.
How can they get away with loading it that way? It just says.
It's because it takes that time for the principal to come down. So, if it stayed flat and you never paid any principal, so if it was interest only, the principal just stays the same. But what happens is that principal starts coming down. Okay. And so you're paying less from that perspective. Yeah. Yeah. It's an interesting market right now that we're in. Like
you gotta keep your head on swivel.
Yeah.
You never know.
Well, we do, I brought up Tennessee earlier. We're licensed there. And Tennessee, my buddy's place up there, he built this place. He's a contractor, built it, $1.3 million, $1.4 million, real nice place on 2 acres. And I get the tax bill, $1,400 annual. Insurance is like $125. But, they're in the middle of the country where there's not a ton of, natural disasters, call it. So, down south we get all the hurricane stuff, floods, and then up here we get all the hail and tornadoes, and we've been getting just pounded the last few years with hail and stuff, and so that's why the insurance is bounced so much.
If you had to go back and talk to yourself at 18 or talk to an 18-year-old today, what advice would you give them and yourself?
Pay attention in the finance class.
Coming from a finance guy.
I've had to do a lot of catch up in the last 20 years. Yeah. Growing up 18, 20, till 20, all I cared about was playing baseball. So there was no, school was like a means to an end so I could play, and yeah, I wish I would have taken school a lot more serious, that would be hands down the biggest advice.
Yeah. And the technology has changed so much from our era, our generation, because back then we had to take computer classes for typing or something. It wasn't
typewriter.
Yeah.
not even
we had pagers instead of cell phones, or things have changed.
Lauren probably doesn't even know what a typewriter is.
No. No. You probably don't know what a pager is. Yeah. Oh, my kids, it's funny talking to them about things. I'm just talking to them like I'm talking to you.
Yeah.
They're like, what is that, Dad? I'm like, are you kidding me?
How old are your kids?
The girls are 18, twins, and the boys are 21 and 19.
Oh, okay.
Right. And some of that stuff so dated for them. They're amazed if there's a phone hanging on. Because, when I first built my place in Greenville, I put phone jacks in there.
Yeah.
And they asked me, what is that phone jack for? Or what is that plug for?
Yeah.
I said, that's where we used to plug in the phone with hard dial, call people out. Like, oh, really? They haven't even seen something that simple. I'm like,
that's only 20 years.
Yeah. Yeah. And you think about how, you only used to be able to get the little bag phones for cell phones.
Oh, yeah.
And they were high as hell.
Oh, yeah. Expensive. Yeah. And don't go over the data or the minute usage.
No. So technology has changed so much. And I was the same way in school. I didn't want it out there so bad. I didn't care.
Yeah.
I just wanted to rodeo, work.
Yeah.
I didn't need all that.
I'm going to flip the script a little bit on you. What do you think, talking about technology, how has that changed after P, over the last few years?
Phenomenal. The communication with the client and what I can see as far as the dashboard, it keeps me not to be so into the dailies.
Yeah,
stuff.
Sure.
Because I can see
sense.
it. Yeah. So we have a portal that our clients can see the back end.
Yeah.
So the daily progress, I can see the daily progress. So it just helps with clients when they're the clients don't necessarily have to call you or concern.
Yeah.
When our superintendent goes out there and takes a picture on site, it uploads it, but it also GPS pins him on site. So he can't say there was nobody there today. You know what I mean? He was there and you see it right here.
Yeah.
And that's why I tell my guys, I said, before, a lot of times it's service. It's hard to get stuff out.
Yeah.
But I was like, before you leave the site, send all your stuff in. That way you're pinned in there.
Yep.
And they know you're there.
Yeah.
So it just cuts down on the thing I used to have to deal with so much is communication.
Yeah.
And getting people to communicate.
Yep.
Technology's kind of helped bridge that gap.
Yeah, for sure.
Well, we get to work more and do our thing than sit here and talk on the phone about a problem that's going to be over with tomorrow. And I tell a lot of people when we're building houses, you've been wanting to build this house for 40 years. You're finally building it. A couple of days are not going to hurt you, I promise. And I'm not going to shave quality or get the first thing out of their mouth. Well, why don't you get a different electrician? I said, no, sir. My stuff has been with me for almost 20 years.
Yeah.
And I'm not, there's no way. I tried because when COVID happened, we were so busy right after that our subplace couldn't keep up.
Yeah.
And I built the office in Decatur. So trying to do that, I had to find a new sub base in the worst time in the world.
Yeah.
And material shortages and people were busy.
Yep.
Nobody cared who Rafter P was.
Yeah.
Except for the people that have been with you. But so it's not fun. Yeah. Fun that.
Yeah.
But I think that's how it's helped a lot. We very rarely do you get a phone call anymore. You get a text message. And it drives me crazy sometimes because you got to read in between the lines.
Yeah, that's...
Or my broken English. Yeah.
That is, I think, an art form is how do you, I'm kind of like, all right, I'm going to pick up the Like I'm going to default to that. You know, I'm going to text a lot, but like over the weekend, I was going back and forth with these folks, and I was explaining the situation through text, and they were missing it completely, and I was like having it, and so it's great till it's not, right? Like, but yeah, it's. I was like, give me 5 minutes, I'm gonna call you.
Right,
we're gonna get this figured out.
It's easier when you can get a tone off somebody or how they're thinking about something when you're talking to them on the phone,
right?
In person,
Yeah,
because especially when they've never built something before or went through a financing institute for stuff.
Yeah,
I think it's very challenging to get that across to them, because a lot of people, the newer generation, does not want to have interaction in person.
Yeah,
they don't want to drive.
Yeah,
they don't do nothing. They just want to go do their thing to some degree, and like they don't even know how to interact. Talk to you. We go do these job fairs and stuff. These kids. Yeah, like I try to stay in front of them and try to make them talk, but they just haven't had to do it. Yeah, because of all that.
It's funny the kids that go through like the FFA and organizations like that, like you can see, like, because they're like that's part of their deal. And I did I sat in on a panel for kids applying for a scholarship. Shocking. You talking about 18 years old? I wasn't putting that playbook together. I mean, I was not one bit equipped to have a conversation with 5 adults, business owners, that these kids are having. Like it blew me away. Like and that's a very small segment of the population, but yeah, it's the communication it blew me away from the FFA kids. Like, impressive.
Yeah, that particular program, I think, it's helped America a lot because of all the things they have to do. And if they're just raising rabbits or raising whatever, they still have responsibility. Sure. You know, and accountability, and that's the stuff that you don't get anywhere else. I mean, you do in sports to some degree, but you know, having to take care of something that's a living thing, so it makes a world of difference when you're talking about fixing to be an adult here in about 3 or 4 years. You know, you got to understand how this works.
Yeah, I thought it was pretty cool. Like some of the kids that were in, you know, the stock show, youth livestock show was a couple weeks back, Parker County, and so we'll go and support and donate to that. But the kids that actually showed up came to our office and said, hey, you know, this is the project I did this year, you know, or this is my steer, and they give you a little, you know, printout of what it was and said, you know, like they're selling themselves. Like it's impressive.
Yeah, especially dealing with all the things on the daily of different people that are not in those organizations. It's just crazy how much difference that makes, for sure.
Exactly.
So if you had to define in one word your grit,
my grit,
what would it be?
Oh, I knew this was coming too.
One word.
Perseverance.
The common one. Yeah. No, that's you think of grit's the word pretty much defines how I feel about myself. But when you have to give it another word, I mean, it's like, or what is your grit? You know, people it stumps people that never really thought about it. You know.
Yeah, because the default would be grit. You know, like you want to.
But that word gets thrown around so much now. I think that's why we named this podcast what we named it. It was like it's just. I want to define grit, and I want to do it through people's personalities and lifestyles, so they understand what grit really is. So that's what I've always tried to home in on with this, and promote other people, you know, and celebrate other people. You know, people don't do that no more. You know, they always want to. I don't know how many phone calls you get a day that people just check on you. Yeah, monthly problem.
They need to be checking on everybody in the real estate business. Let's go here. Yeah, you still with us? You good? Yeah, no, it's this is I've gotten to watch a couple of the shows, and so it's fun to see the interaction and the different kind of the business community and how different business owners interact and kind of how we help. You know, that's our big thing is like, you know, we're all kind of in this together as entrepreneurs, and it really takes a village, really. You know, you got to have the support network. Usually when you're an entrepreneur, you're on an island a lot of times, and you know, you're probably, well, at least I am. I wake up and there's days and I'm like, man, am I doing the right thing? Like, is this the right thing to be doing? And you got people's livelihoods that you're worried about, your families, and
yeah, it ain't just you.
No,
every employee I have, it's times 3 or 2.
Yeah,
that I'm responsible for to
100%.
some degree of making payroll.
Yeah,
make sure they get their paycheck.
Yeah,
when it's been raining for 6 months, it's like you're a cash flow company, so that's that's stressful.
Yeah,
but we get there.
Yeah,
it just takes away from all your personal stuff too.
Yeah,
you just get so absorbed into it. You have to, because you're the one to fix it.
Yeah,
or make it happen.
And our industries both, even obviously with Raptor P, it's an emotional event, right? Unless you're commercial buildings are a little bit different. It's a business transaction. Yeah, there's some emotion tied to it because the business owner is excited about it. But like you're talking about building somebody's home. A lot of times it's their dream home. A lot of times we're financing the dream home. So the level of emotion that comes into it's not just a bunch of numbers. Like there's a lot of massaging and the personal soft skills that are necessary to get that deal, especially for you guys. If it takes 3-6 months to get a place built, that's 6 months of a lot of questions.
We try to do a lot of it on the front end, but the biggest thing is just getting husband and wives on the same page.
Yeah,
husband cares about certain things, she cares about certain things, but when it comes to the price tag, that's when the wars start.
Yeah,
so
that's when the checkbook
trying to
starts
keep
again.
Yeah, everybody starts getting a little different.
Yeah,
so making all that happen. You almost play litigator all the time too.
Yeah, for
mediator.
Sure.
So, well, Gary, it's good having you.
Yes, sir. Appreciate you having me. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.